Hello, this is Mr. Jarrett, and in this video tutorial we are going to be drawing this object. So first you want to study the object and any notes that there may be. So you do notice down here it says note, fillets and rounds have a radius of 0.38. So anywhere you see these dotted lines like this, meaning there, possibly here, here on this corner, which it actually does have it labeled, here, and same thing on the opposite sides. Those are all going to be a radius of 0.38. You also notice that the origin is kind of floating down here. Since this is a 3D image, you kind of have to understand where that is in space. And since there's a vertical line here and a vertical line here coming off of it, that's trying to indicate that the origin is somewhat in the middle of this object. So there's stuff that is extruded up and there's stuff that is extruded down. So that means we are actually going to be drawing on the top plane when we do this. So I pulled that screen to, or I pulled that to my other screen, and in SolidWorks I'm going to create a new part, and I'm going to change my units to IPS if they aren't already. I'll get the sketch tool, and I'm going to select the top plane. Now it shows that there is a center point arc kind of around that origin. So here I'm going to get the center point arc, select my origin and move out to my left, click, and we want something that looks like that. Okay, we can do that again. So click in the origin. This time we're going to move down here a little bit, so not straight across, down here, and we just want it to look something like that. Okay, and we'll hit the green check. Now these can still rotate and flip and all that other stuff, so you notice on our picture that there's this little tiny crosshair here straight up across or straight up above the origin, indicating the center of this circle. And you can see that there's a projection line there and a projected line here, indicating that this line and this line are straight across from the origin. So that means I'm going to select this dot here, hold in Shift, click to my origin and the other dot, the other end of it, and I want to make them horizontal from one another. So that means this thing can no longer go past that, it can just resize. Okay. Then I'll get my line tool and I'm going to try to finish off the rest of this. So I'll click, draw a line out, up, over, down, and connect back. Okay. And I can do the same thing on the opposite side. And some of you may be saying here, well, couldn't you have mirrored this? Well, yeah, you can. You could have mirrored this if you drew it like that, but this is a different way. So you notice here I was able to connect right into that. On this side I did not connect into that, so I can simply just click this dot, hold in Shift, click the other dot, and we can set this to merge. So it'll move that around until it's connected. Okay. Now, since this is symmetrical from one side to the other, we can go ahead and set equals a whole bunch of places. So we'll click on this line, hold in Shift, and click the opposite line that looks the same, and we'll set those to equal. And we'll do the same thing here for this line and the line that looks the same. And that means these top lines are technically collinear. So this and this is collinear. I don't need to set that as a constraint, but really they are, because the height of this will always be the height of this, meaning this horizontal line is always going to be at the same spot as that horizontal line. Okay. So then we can also do the same thing down here. So this one, hold in Shift, and this one are going to be equal to one another. I'm sure you guessed it by now, but this line and the opposite line are also set to equal. So you could do this like that, having a whole bunch of equals, or some people would just draw this side and mirror it to this side. It's the same thing. It's just the same amount of work either way. You can see it all kind of mirrors itself now. So now we can go ahead and we can start dimensioning everything. And I am going to actually dimension the easy things first. So I'm going to start here and make this a 1/2 inch. And it should make that line also a 1/2 inch. Okay, And then from the inside to the inside here, this is actually 7.75. So I should spread that all out. And then the outside line, so you can select this one, is 1.25. Okay, and then the inside circles, so this curve is 1.38. And it doesn't actually have a measurement for this outside one. I'm sure you could do the math in your head. But before we actually go ahead and dimension that, just in case you had something mess up like this, you have a tiny little spot, or maybe your lines actually flipped and now they're like this on accident, you want to get off of all of your tools and you want to just click and hold on one of the blue dots and stretch this thing so it's back to shape. Okay. Now, once you're back to shape, then we can go ahead and dimension this. It shows that from this one curve to the other curve, it has a thickness of 0.5 in between. So you could have actually just added 0.5 to this radius, or you could do it that way. Either way, it doesn't matter. This is also 0.5 in between here. It's kind of like an even wall thickness the whole way. And once you put that 0.5 in, you should be fully defined. Now we can go ahead and get the Features tab, and we can hit Extrude. And we want to change this from blind to mid-plane, so it's going to be going up and down. And the total height here sometimes is lost because there's so much going on, but you actually see it is right here. It says it's 1.5 to the middle of this hole and then 1.5 up. So you could mentally do that math, which is 3, or you could make SolidWorks do it if this was a more complicated thing. So I'll just demonstrate that. I would simply type in 1.5 plus 1.5, which I said you could do in your head. In this case, I just wanted to show you that. So this is going up and down. We'll hit the green check. And now we're going to have to sketch right here to put those holes in. So I'm going to get my Sketch tab, select Sketch, and click on that flat wall. And then hit Control 8 on your keyboard. And I'll draw a circle here, draw a circle on the other side. And I'm going to set those to equal. So I selected the outsides of the circles, not the center points. Set them to equal. Click off. Now I'll click the center, hold in Shift, click the origin, hold in Shift, and the center of the other circle, and I'm going to make those horizontal from one another. So that means these circles can't go up or down. Okay, which since we already made this 3 tall, this is actually 1.5 here and 1.5 here, so we don't even have to dimension that. What we do need to dimension are the size. So the size of these are 0.75 and how far away they are from the origin. So if we look back at our picture, which once again this dimension is kind of missed, this crosshair here, remember, is a projection of where the origin is. So it says it is 3 inches over to the center of this. So you see how I kind of followed those lines and found my way around this? That's what you're going to have to do in more complicated drawings. So we want to select the circle and the origin, and we're going to make this 3. And we can do that same thing to the other side. So the circle and our origin, and we'll also make that 3. Now they should be fully defined. We can go to the Features tab and hit Extruded Cut. And we want to change it from blind to through all. I'll rotate so you can see how it's cutting through. And we can hit the green check, and it's cut through. And last is the fillets and rounds. So we are going to actually do this in the Features tab. I know some of you back in our original sketch might have thought it would have been easier to fillet this inside. You could have done it then, but since I had to do a whole bunch of them now, there's no difference. I'm just going to do them all with the Features tab and fillet. And we're going to change this measurement to 0.38, and there are a bunch of them. So I'm going to rotate around to the back so you can see. First off, we're going to do these corners. So one there, one here, and the opposite side as well. So there's 4. Rotating around to the front, here is 5 on this corner, 6 on the opposite corner, and then these inside corners. So before I click those, I do want to explain, because a lot of students have a hard time understanding what is the difference between a fillet or what they would consider a round. A fillet is actually removing material. See how this was square and now it's going to kind of cut material off? Same thing here. It was squared off and now it's rounded. So that is removing material. A round, however, is going to add material. So if I click in here, you see how it's going to kind of make material for me. It's almost like putting a weld bead in there, welding these two pieces together. It's adding material. So that is considered what's called a round, but we still use the fillet tool for that. So the last one is in here. And then we can hit the green check. So now we have our full shape. We can go ahead and actually change the material. And this one is not a default, so you need to hit Edit Material. And this is the AISI 1035 Steel SS. So we want AISI 1035 Steel SS. Hit Apply and Close, and then go up and evaluate this. So evaluate mass properties, and we should be getting a mass of 4.78 pounds. If you got that, you can save this as the assignment name and move on to the next assignment. If you did not get that, go back in, edit your extrusions or one of your sketches, and you can problem solve until you get that thing fixed, and then you can go ahead and save it.